Welcome to the solution video for the Razor Pages form challenge. Let's jump right in here to Visual Studio and let's create a new project. And we're going to create an ASP.NET Core Web application. We'll hit next and we'll call this the Razor Pages Challenge and Razor Pages Challenge app. We'll hit create, which is going to bring up a dialog box. Well, the first dialog box it brings up is, I already have something named that. No problem. This is actually the Razor Pages form challenge. I do have a Razor Pages challenge, so I don't want to confuse your systems either in case you have them installed in the same folder. So let's go ahead and create a new name for it. We'll hit create. Now it's going to bring up a dialog box that's going to be this one right here. First, we want to select .NET Core, not .NET Framework. We want to do ASP.NET Core 2.2, and I'm going to select Web Application. That's for Razor Pages. I'm not going to enable Docker support for this. We don't really need it. And we are going to allow the configure for HTTPS. I don't see a need to ever turn that off. I would say always leave that on. The web is going more towards HTTPS for everything. And in fact, Google will penalize you for not having a secured version of your site. So just in general, plan always having HTTPS on your web pages. All right, so now we have our application installed. Let's create a new page, new Razor page, and we'll call this page Sign Up. So just say Razor page, not with Entity Framework or with Entity Framework with CRUD. We'll call it Sign Up. Yes, we want to generate the page model class. That's kind of like the code behind, but not really. It's separate, more of a disconnected architecture you can actually test. So it's not quite the same thing as web forms with their code behind, but it's similar in look at least. Okay, not a partial view, and we're going to use the default layout page, which is blank. Once that gets created, which it's restoring NuGet packages right now, but once that's done, we can look at our sign up page, and we have right now an onGet. Let's go to our HTML page, and we have this sign up page. So now we have our page here to put our form on. But we're not going to do that quite yet. First, we're going to create a model. So let's right click on our project and say add folder called models. And in here, we're going to create a model based upon the information we need. So a new class. And let's call this class the sign up model. And in here, we're going to need prop, and let's do a string first name, prop string last name, prop string email address, and prop string, and it's the password. All right, so those are 4 values we need. Now on our signup.cs.html, we need to bring in a property for this. So we'll have a property called sign up model, and we'll call this the sign up data. I think that's probably pretty good. I'm going to mark this as a bind property. Bind property, not bind properties. It's singular. So what this does is it says that we can post to this object. All right, and we can set this up to have an initial value of new. All right, now on our page here, let's create a form. Let's just say sign up form, like so. And we're going to say, let's not worry about wrapping it, making it really pretty and all. Let's just say form. And we're going to say that the method equals post. So when we actually submit on this form, it's going to call a post. So now let's create a few inputs. So let's do a label first. Label ASP-4, and this is going to be for the sign up data dot first name. And interestingly enough, it doesn't have it listed. And I think I see the problem here. So this model says pages.signup_model, which is actually what it is if you go to the signup CS HTML.cs file, it's called signup model. Well, now I have a conflict because signup model, signup model, signup model. That's not good. Let's call this signup data model. All right, and we'll rename this. We're not going to use the IntelliSense to do that because it may cause problems, but I will rename it over here in the file as well. And now over here, we're going to do sign up data model, which has to have a using statement for it, and bring it over here as well. So the issue there is that the code behind has model at the end of it. So our form was sign up, therefore sign up model is the code behind, but we also called our data model sign up model. We don't want that name conflict. So now sign up data dot first name should work, and we can just close that out. And we can do a input ASP-4 equals sign up data dot first name, like so. And we should put in here the type equals text. And if we want a placeholder here, we could do that. We may end up just doing placeholders instead of inputs and labels, because I didn't do a form group here. Let's just do, we're going to try and keep it simple. So we're just going to do a placeholder here. So placeholder equals first name. All right, so we're going to do a few more of these. Last name, email address, and password. So last name, email address. So the placeholder is what's going to be inside the box itself. And then let's go ahead and put a breakpoint in here, and we'll verify that this signup data actually has information in it. All right, so let's try this out just as it is. So I'm going to run this. I changed it to Razor Page Form Challenge as the type. What that does is it kicks off a .NET window like this instead of launching IIS Express. I do that just because it's a little simpler, I think. Okay, so We don't have a way yet to navigate to it using our navigation bar, but we can just type sign up. And there's our sign up page, which is really ugly right now. But in theory, Tim, Corey, and if I type a password, notice it's just the dots. And if I hit sign up right now, it goes through the post. Let's look at sign up data, and we can pull it up over here. This sign up data. Notice that first name is Tim, last name is Corey, and password is TES, and email address is null. So that's pretty good, but we don't have a check on model state yet. So let's do that next. So let's say here if, and we'll say model state dot is valid equals false, and then we can return page like so. Now with this return, it posts a void right now, so we can't say return. So we have to say it's actually an iAction result instead. So now we can return the page, but otherwise we've got a problem because we're not returning a page besides this page. So let's just return page twice. We'll change this in just a minute. But you first want to verify where it's returning. Okay, is it returning here at the it's not valid, or is it returning if that's valid? So a quick little test like this just to make sure our next step of the code is correct. So we can go to /sign up, hit sign up, and it says it's valid, which is interesting because it's not really valid. We haven't put a validation on our model. So we can go ahead and change that if we want, or we can hit continue for a minute. And let's just do this. And notice not even a validation on the email. It does say please include an @ in the email address. TES missing an @ So it does say it when you mouse over it, but it's not providing much in the way of validation right now. I could go pretty deep into the different ways to validate this with JavaScript and all the rest, but I think for now, I'm going to leave this pretty much alone. We might tweak it just a little bit. I do hate to have an unvalidated form. Let's do this. Let's go to our, I know I'm kind of straying off from the original topic, but I do want to cover this because it's important. Required. Control dot. So I'm just going to make these required. And we'll make all of them required. And just that for now, just to see it. So now I made it required. Let's go over to our /signup. I hit sign up, and now we're getting the is valid equals false. Okay, so we can go even further because right now the email address is being permitted, even though it's just that would be valid. In fact, if I just do this, look at that. Now we see that please include an @ Okay. So now we have to at least provide a valid email address when we submit. Okay? Because it is hitting this. I didn't show that, but haha, it's not now because the password's blank. Here, I'm going to put this here. There we go. So now it's hitting the correct return page. So we have some validation on there. You can go a little more in depth than I did here with just required. You can do things like putting error messages in for the required. We can put validation on that form itself to show the messages and a lot more. But I think that's good enough just to show that yes, there should be validation on here, and that's how you do it. I'm not going to spend your time and mine making this pretty because it's just not what this challenge is all about. This challenge is about getting a form to work. Okay? All right, so that was the primary challenge. But let's move on to the bonus challenge, and we're going to address this issue right here, which is return the same page. We're going to actually return a different page. So let's right-click on pages and say add a razor page. We'll say just a razor page, no entity framework. Thank you. Make sure the generate page model class is checked, as is the use a layout page is checked, and it's blank for which layout page. Anonymous object, not new string, new anonymous object, and the ID equals, we're just going to pass in a simulated value. So we're going to say 15. That works. So if the post is successful, it's going to redirect to the thank you page and pass in the ID of 15. Let's see just this in action. So /sign up, test at test.com, and test. We hit sign up, and I put a breakpoint on get. A mouse over the value of ID, or you can go to locals and look at ID. The ID is 15. So we've passed in an ID to our thank you page. Now the purpose behind that is, let's say you were to edit a record and you then want to go to the view for that same record. So you've made the changes, you pull the form up, you made the changes, and you hit save. You want to go to the just view the page that has that information on it. And so what you do is you'd send the ID of the user you just modified, and the other page looks it up and then populates the data. So that simulates right there. So that worked. And now it just says thank you. And no, we don't want to say that password. Okay, so we've got that part working. That was pretty quick. But now let's talk through the idea that on this sign up page, we want to have a light mode and a dark mode. And you want to be able to pass in a value. So let's close out some of these things we don't need right now. So on here, we're going to put let's put it at the bottom. And we'll just say H2, you are in light mode. And then we'll say you're in dark mode if we're in dark mode. So how do we do this? Well, let's create a property in the code behind for sign up model, or the code for sign up model, I guess I could say. So I'll create a prop. We're going to say string, and we'll call this mode. And we're going to say that this is a bind property, but it's not just a bind property, because we also want to say that it supports get equals true. And what this does is it allows us to pass it in as a query parameter. All right. So this way, if, and we're also going to set the initial value, just so we have a value, let's say light, like so. That way we always have a value even if they don't pass one in. So now we have this variable called mode, which we can access on this page. I'm going to cut this out and say if model, capital M, dot mode, we'll do to lower, equals light, then do this. Else, do this, like so. So it's going to say if the mode is light, then say we're in light mode. Otherwise, say we're in dark mode. Okay, pretty simple stuff right there. And this if statement is using razor syntax, that's the at in front of it, that allows us to mix and match C# code with HTML code. So, or HTML markup, sorry. HTML is not code, it's markup. But that allows us to switch back and forth pretty easily. If there's ever a case where it gets confused, for example, if you put a C# command in here somewhere, like maybe you wanted to spell out what mode is, you know, if you want to do it this way instead, you could say in at mode, model.mode. Because if you just said model.mode, it's going to type out model.mode, not the value that model.mode holds. So you say at, and that's how you mix and match. Now I didn't do it this way, where he said you are in and then just specify the name. I did a full if statement. A couple reasons for that. One reason is because the user might type all lowercase light, and that might not look the way I want it to. Or they might type in all caps, or they might type capital L, capital I, lowercase GHT. It would be confusing. So this way I can clean it up. Also, I can do more than just this H2 tag. I could actually apply some styles, do other things in this if statement. So with this being said, we can run this. And now if we go to our sign up page, notice we are in light mode. But if I were to say, put at the end of this, question mark mode equals dark, we're in dark mode. Okay, so it is reflecting what I pass in as a parameter on this page. So this page remembers that and displays it. Okay, and if you were to refresh, it's still remember dark mode because it's pulling it off this query parameter. All right, and that right there is the completion of the bonus challenge. So we have a thank you page that we redirect to after form submission. We pass the ID, that's the right here, we pass the ID. That's how we do that. And then we also have that sign up page accept a parameter that is called mode that's either light or dark, and then it displays the appropriate message based upon what they pass in. So these little things right here I intentionally chose for you because of the fact that these are things you're going to come across quite a bit when you start building these forms. And it's really good to practice these now, try them out, try different things, so that when it comes time to actually use them, you're kind of in shape. You know, if the first time you take a shot in basketball is in a game, you'll probably miss. Same thing is true for coding. If the first shot you ever take is a real live application, you're probably going to miss. You're probably going to have some problems. So these little practices help keep you sharp in the things that you'll need going forward. Okay? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it stretched you a little bit, made you think a little bit, and it made you maybe try some things out that you hadn't otherwise planned on trying out. Thanks for watching, and as always, I am Tim Corey.